Hello everyone, Xeshire the cat on the scene, and apparently I'm being licked by chat. No, I did not make that up. Let's get to the next case. Because I can. See. By the way, I'm having coffee at almost midnight. No, I don't care. We're finishing this case tonight.
I'm so sorry, Mr. Wright. I'm sorry for what my sister said.
Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to, in order for him to get the verdict he deserved.
I didn't know. I never knew what the SL9 incident was just another name for. The Joe Dark killings.
Sounds like everyone's heard about these killings but me.
Lana Dark convicted so badly. That's why she used me. That's why she used what happened to me.
What do you mean, what happened to you?
It's all there in the file. Joe Dark's last victim was prosecutor Neil Marshall. When he murdered Officer Marshall's brother, he left behind an incriminating piece of evidence.
What did you have to do with those killings, Emma?
On that night, prosecutor Neil Marshall was murdered. Joe Dark tried to kill me.
What? He tried to kill you?
Officer Marshall's brother, Neil, was only trying to save me.
So that means you...
Yes. I was a witness in the Joe Dark trial.
You who just inhaled so much ice cream right before bed, lol, no room to judge.
I didn't see that one coming.
Alright, talk to me.
It happened 2 years ago. It was right about this time of the year, too. There was a terrible thunderstorm that day, unusual for this season. I was alone in my sister's office. We were planning to eat dinner together once she finished her work. Then suddenly, this terrifying man came bursting into the office.
Joe Dark.
It seemed like he was running from someone. He pulled out a knife and screamed at me. I didn't know what was going on. Just then, Prosecutor Marshall showed up.
Jake Marshall's brother.
Joe Dark tried to take me hostage. But before he could, Mr. Marshall tackled him. Then...
What happened?
I'll never forget it. Lightning struck, and the lights went out. And suddenly, a bolt of lightning flashed outside the window, lighting up the office for an instant. What I saw then burned a permanent picture in my mind. I can still see it now.
Permanent picture?
How to remember the moment when Dark stabbed Mr. Marshall.
So you weren't able to testify about that?
No, I was only asked about when I was attacked. That must be why why she made up the crime.
Made it up? You mean provided bogus evidence?
The prosecutor's office wanted that guilty verdict so badly. Lana forged the evidence and Mr. Edgeworth used it.
Edgeworth?
Yes, but I'm sure he didn't know anything about it. He couldn't have known he was being given false evidence. Even so, that's when it all started. The rumors about Mr. Edgeworth, I mean. It's all my fault. If I could have just testified properly, none of this would have happened.
So it's true. Even though he may not have known it, Edgeworth really was involved with falsifying evidence.
After that case ended, Lana was never the same. She became cold like she is today.
She must not have been able to face up to what she did. Especially not to Emma. What did you see in the instant that crime occurred?
Drake knocked down Marshall and raised his hand. Or Dark knocked down...
Drake?
And then he dropped a sick beat, yo! Neil Marshall was stabbed right in front of this poor girl. I don't remember what happened after that. Apparently, I passed out. When I came to, Lana was cradling me in her arms.
Poor Emma. You've been through so much.
I couldn't bring myself to testify about that instant. I tried, but the words just wouldn't come out. I drew a picture, but it wasn't any good. 2 years ago.
Oh, you must have been 14. It's understandable.
Once it was all over, I made up my mind. I decided that when I grew up, I'd become a scientific investigator. I want to be able to fight crime with my testimonies. I find evidence to make an airtight case. That way, Lana would never have to forge any.
I see. I think I'm finally starting to understand what makes Emma tick. There's still something that bothers me about that crime. There's something that's puzzling me, Emma.
What is it?
You said you were in Lana's office at that time, right?
That's right.
Why then would a serial killer come running in there? Not only that, but he was being chased by a prosecutor.
Oh, there's no mystery there. Joe Dark had been taken in for questioning that day.
Taken him for questioning? You mean by the police?
Of course. This happened at the police department.
Huh.
He tried to run away halfway through the interview and fled into my sister's office.
But why did he run all the way over to your sister's office?
Because the detective's office and the questioning room are right across from the elevator.
Across from the elevator? But Lana was the chief prosecutor, wasn't she?
No, silly. Didn't I tell you? 2 years ago, Lana was a detective. She was the best in the entire force.
What?
That's news to me. After the Joe Dark case, she was transferred to the prosecutor's office and made chief prosecutor.
Lana used to be a detective? I better have another talk with her. To the detention center. Well? Hi, beautiful.
Lana!
Mr. Wright, it seems I keep causing you trouble. Falsifying evidence. I didn't think you were the type. Criminals don't mind playing fouls. Why should we?
But Lana, if you're wrong, an innocent person might be found guilty.
Believe me, I understand the risks. Lana, Emma told me about you. Oh? About how you were a detective 2 years ago, and how the SL9 incident was the reason for your transfer to the prosecutor's office. That's right. Could you fill me in on the details, especially about that unusual change of jobs? I suppose you have a right to know, Mr. Wright. A lot of revelations were uncovered on the trial today, not the least of which was the fact that this case is largely connected to another one from 2 years ago. Evidence from that case was stolen as well, though I expected as much. I know how obsessive Officer Marshall can be.
Yeah, it really wasn't fair, was it? I believed in you, Lana. I believed that no matter what happened, you'd always stick to the truth.
It couldn't be helped, Emma. At that trial 2 years ago, I sold my soul. Well, all drama aside, the fact of the matter is, at 5:15 there was no murder at the police department.
Tell me it's not true, Lana. When the witness, Miss Starr, said about you stabbing Mr. Goodman with a knife? Lana, I don't understand. Why won't you tell us?
Emma, this doesn't involve just me. I don't think I've ever seen Lana look so fazed before. It's true. I I was a member of the police force 2 years ago.
She was amazing! They still talk all about the cases she and Chief Gant cracked together.
Chief Gant?
He was the deputy chief of the police back then, but he still worked on the crime scenes.
Damon Grant. He was everything I aspired to be.
They were the best team ever. They solved crimes before the reports could even be filed.
Emma really idolizes her big sister. But now you're chief prosecutor. What happened? I always planned on becoming a prosecutor. The reason I became a detective was...
to gain experience investigating crime scenes so you could use that experience in court, right?
Gant's help in the SL9 case was crucial to its resolution. After that, he became chief of police, and I arranged my transfer to the prosecutor's office. Maybe I should ask more about this investigation of theirs 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I was second in command to the detectives investigating Dark. Second in command? That means the investigation lead was Damon Gant, right?
Yes, Deputy Grant.
I keep wanting to call him Grant. Ugh.
Gant and I shared the same office, and the same investigations.
They even had the same office? Ooh la la.
We led a team of the best detectives on the force.
Detective Goodman, whose case it was, Jake Marshall, and Angel Starr. It was the first time Marshall worked with his brother. He was quite gung-ho. Without a doubt, Joe Dark was the serial killer. We asked him to come in for questioning. We were desperate for evidence. That was when his final murder took place. And he tried to murder Emma.
Prosecutor Marshall was trying to save me from Dark.
You see, the first person who happened upon the scene of the crime was me. Now you tell us. Damon Gant and Neil Marshall were the ones questioning Dark that day. The investigation was in its final stages, and Dark must have suddenly panicked. So he waited until Gant and Marshall let their guards down, then fled the room. From there, he ran straight to the office shared by Deputy Chief Gant and myself.
That's where he found me.
So you were the first person to run into the scene, Lana. It appears so. I was filing some papers while Gant and Marshall were questioning Dark. When I returned to my office, I saw 3 bodies on the floor and smelled blood. 3 bodies? Prosecutor Marshall, the victim, Emma, who had passed out, and the suspect, Joe Dark. During the struggle, it seems Mr. Marshall struck a final blow before he died. Joe Dark had incurred a minor concussion and lay unconscious. What did you do? To be honest, I panicked. I picked up Emma and carried her out of the room and just held her. I can't blame her. After all, her sister must have gone through. After that, I placed Dark under immediate arrest. Let me get this straight. You were all involved in the SL9 incident. That's right. Quite a coincidence, huh? I don't buy it.
What are you saying?
There's no way everyone involved in this trial and also involved in that incident just by chance.
But that case was solved 2 years ago.
At least one person went to extremes because they didn't believe it was truly solved. Officer Marshall. Yes, his actions came as a surprise to me as well. Ever since his brother died, he's changed completely.
I guess he wasn't convinced with the ruling against Joe Dark.
Life doesn't end with the closing of a case. Everyone has to live the rest of their lives with their memories. That case just might not be over yet. Emma was assaulted by Dark at the police department, right?
Yes, in the office that Damon Gant and I shared.
The office that Mr. Gant now occupies by himself. The chief's office.
Maybe we should have a look at the chief's office, the site of the final SL9 murder. I'm starting to suspect Gant. I don't see Detective Gumshoe anywhere.
Things seem kind of quiet around here today.
You're right. Chief of Detectives seems the same, though.
Why don't we go look for some other people to talk to?
Right.
We could come back here later.
Howdy, Bambina.
Oh, Mr. Marshall!
I never thought things turned out this way when I woke up this morning. Que sera, sera. You never know where life will head you, eh, Bambina? Wow, he's actually using that line correctly. I should have known my luck would run out when old Billy dried up this morning.
Billy?
Must be his pet cactus. Say, where are you headed? Just over to the prosecutor's office for a little interrogation. It's a voluntary appearance, but we all know I won't be coming back. Sorry, but you can't go in the evidence room today, partner.
Mr. Marshall? Why did you do it?
Why do prospectors head west? If ever there was a case I needed to know the truth about, it was that one.
Before you turn yourself in, Mr. Marshall, would you mind telling us exactly what happened?
Looks like I won't be getting a steak lunch today. Something was fishy about that trial from the beginning. It wasn't just me either. All the detectives thought so.
What do you mean, fishy?
Some of the facts reported were inconsistent with the evidence we found. For example, the murder weapon.
The murder weapon? Oh, you mean the switchblade knife with the broken tip?
That was Joe Dark's, all right. But in the initial autopsy report, a question was raised.
A question?
The blade of the knife was not a perfect match with the wound the victim sustained.
What does that mean?
It means there's a good chance that knife was not the murder weapon. However, in the report that was finally submitted, that possibility had been erased.
Could the facts have been concealed with forged evidence?
That case left behind scars on all of us.
The scars that the SL9 incident left behind.
I got the looks, but he got the brains. He was one of the best prosecutors around.
I don't know, he looks kind of handsome.
I just made detective when it went down. It was our first case together.
How old was he, your brother?
He was 27 at the time. He was awarded the highest honor that very day.
The highest honor? You mean...
The king of prosecutors.
I knew it.
What are you looking at me like that for? That's an honor for a prosecutor.
Mr. Marshall must have really been close with his brother.
The day the SL9 incident took place, that wasn't the same day as...
That's right. It was the day of the evidence transferal.
Interesting.
It was drizzling that morning, and by nightfall there was thunder. I can't believe 2 years has gone by already. I tried to steal the evidence so the case wouldn't die.
Apparently someone tried to stop you.
Detective Goodman was murdered, and the evidence locker was empty. There was something going on behind the scenes in that case. We all knew that later. Every detective involved with this investigation, save one, was taken care of. Miss Starr and I was demoted. Miss Starr was fired, and I was demoted and boxed away in a tiny room.
What about Detective Goodman?
If they did something to him too, the commissioners would get suspicious. No, they were careful enough not to be too obvious.
They? Who are you talking about?
Don't get upset, Bambina. I mean Damon Gant and Lana Skye. the investigation lead, Damon Gant, and his second-in-command, Lina Skye. There wasn't a person on the force who hadn't heard of that duo. The case was the biggest step of their careers. When the case ended, Lana transferred to the prosecutor's office, right?
Yeah, Damon Gant.
Gant knew the chief of police arranged for that to happen. She's never been the same since she left. Everyone who knew her said so. Chief Prosecutor Skye was totally different when she was a detective. Now that he mentions it, Emma said something like that too.
Tell me, what happened to my sister?
Sorry, Bambina, but her secret is too well guarded. I never found out.
Lana's secret. It all started 2 years ago.
So there you have it. That's my story. Did you enjoy it, partner?
It was certainly enlightening.
There's one thing for sure I found out in court today. That boy Edgeworth isn't my enemy. He was the one who used falsified evidence to get a guilty verdict, but someone else was the one who gave him that evidence and planned everything. That someone is Damon Gant. Don't believe me? Well, I don't blame you. I won't even be a patrolman after today. Too bad I won't be around to work with you when you become a real scientific investigator. Adios, Bambina. Man, you don't get to be that cool and walk away. Well, let's check out the underground parking lot, I guess. No one's here today, not even Miss Starr.
Everyone's probably busy looking into exactly what went down in the evidence room.
They must be where the detectives are. But we proved in court today that on the day of the crime, no one was murdered in the evidence room at 5:15 p.m.
Yeah, I thought they were finally making some headway in our case. Instead, it looks like we just ended up making Lana look even more guilty. Hang in there, Lana.
I've got to find all the answers by tomorrow.
Edgeworth got anything to say?
Mr. Edgeworth isn't here.
Maybe he's being questioned by an inquiry committee? He took a real beating in the court today.
Yeah, with Lana admitting to falsifying evidence for 2 years ago.
I guess we'll just have to come back later.
There's actually something that I really want to see here.
Why would you just leave it on the couch?
Yeah, you'd think he'd want to show this thing off more than that giant steel samurai.
And again, Edgeworth has always been like that.
Really? I should write this down. Tell me what he was like when he was a kid.
Back in elementary school, he won awards for all kinds of things. Speech contests, essays, playing the flute, golf tournaments.
Doesn't exactly sound like a typical elementary school stuff.
But he always hated receiving awards. He'd make some smart remark like,
I know the path I've walked. No one else needs to tell me.
that's how he'd always been.
Kinda gets under your skin, doesn't it?
You have no idea. Alright, well. Let's make our way to the police department. Criminal affairs. This place is always pretty empty, but today it's deserted.
So everyone's busy solving crimes.
Oh, if you're looking for the others, they're all in the conference room. Thanks.
Wow, he actually talked to us.
With the chief prosecutor saying what she did and the decision what to do about Mr. Edgeworth, not to mention our statement to the media and tomorrow's trial, there's more chaos going on than Thanksgiving and Christmas put together.
Said as I'm recording this during the holidays.
I think festive is the word usually used for those. Sir, we'd like to have a look around Chief Gant's office. Just use the connecting hallway to the other building and take the elevator to the top floor.
Really?
You mean it's okay for us to go in there? I mean, we aren't police officers or anything. Hey, you're right. You can't go in there. It's off limits.
Now I see where Detective Gumshoe gets his unique charm.
Well, what are you waiting for? Let's head to the chief's office.
What up with the big ol' organ? Okay. Big organ. And the SL9 portrait right here. Whoa, where am I?
In the chief's office, silly. At least that's what it said on the door.
Check out the pipe organ. That's real, isn't it?
Hey, I used to take organ lessons in kindergarten. They used to call me Little Miss Bach.
I thought it was a genius until they tried teaching me notes.
Jesus told you to teach me notes. I never could remember where C was.
Hmm? Ah! Oh, it's you. Oh, it's you two. Chief Gant.
He put that paper he was reading in his desk.
So, righto, have you been swimming lately?
No, I haven't.
I've been kind of busy lately. I can appreciate that. I've had my hands full too, with Mr. Marshall's misconduct. And Lana's provocative statement.
Provocative statement?
Oh, you mean about the forged evidence. 2 years have passed since that incident. My, how time flies. See that big picture on the wall over there? That's a picture of Lana, Neil, and me.
So this is Mr. Marshall's brother, Prosecutor Neil Marshall. And this is the day he died.
We took it to commemorate our work together.
Something's not right with the picture.
There's a sword on the trophy.
Can't quite seem to put my finger on it, though. Huh.
You and your long pauses. Anyway, I'd like to reminisce all day. Hey, but there are matters that need my attention. I'm gonna lock up here, so let's go out together.
Oh. But this office, it was a crime scene 2 years ago, wasn't it?
That case has long since been over. There's no need to investigate it anymore.
At the same time, we'd still like to have a look around.
Perhaps you didn't hear me. I said there's no need to investigate it anymore. Now hurry up and get out. I have a meeting to attend.
Looks like we aren't welcome. It seems that case isn't over with yet after all. What do you mean? Chief Gant denied our request to search the crime scene. It means there must be a reason he doesn't want us looking around in there.
You mean like a clue?
There's gotta be a way we can get inside the chief's office.
Well? No, nothing here? Let's see.
Hey, pal!
Detective Gumshoe, aren't you supposed to be in a meeting?
I'm, just taking a breather. My feet hurt. Oh, hey, Scarlet, you okay?
From sitting so long?
Actually, from serving everyone coffee. Sounds like Detective Gumshoe's still out of the loop. Say, have either of you seen Edgeworth?
Edgeworth? No. Why do you ask?
He's under fire from both the police department and the prosecutor's office. It's almost like the battle's between you two in the court.
That sounds serious.
Is it because of what my sister said?
That's basically what it all boils down to. That falsified evidence 2 years ago. Now Mr. Edgeworth has the whole world after his blood.
It's that need with the survivors gen rushing me. Oof.
Yikes!
That's crisis. I literally told them to F them in their GGs. Well, why would Edgeworth be blamed? It's not like he knew the evidence was forged. Lana Skye's the guilty party here, isn't she? Regardless, a prosecutor is responsible for the evidence they present in court. Not only that, but as you know, there have been rumors going around about Mr. Edgeworth. What with his stylish coat? His amazing talent as a prosecutor kept him safe from those who didn't like him. But now with this...
Are there really so many people who hate him?
In our world, only those with talent rise to the top. Now, Mr. Edgeworth has not only that, but he's young. There's no better recipe I know for making enemies. You got that right.
Hey, Dick, keep up the good work.
Yes, sir.
Let's go out for lunch again sometime. My treat.
Yes, sir.
You gotta take me back to that joint sometime, okay, Dick?
Yes, sir.
It seems you don't have any problem with enemies.
Yeah, well, I'm careful not to stick out. Anyway, I'm a bit worried about him. Under all this pressure, I'm afraid Mr. Edgeworth just might crack. Actually, I took a look at that file earlier while the coffee was brewing.
He seems genuinely concerned for Edgeworth.
Well, did you find anything? The only evidence Dark left behind was during his final attack.
His final attack?
You mean when he killed Prosecutor Marshall, who was trying to protect some girl?
Me?
It seems Detective Gumshoe never realized Emma was the girl. That's when he left the most incriminating evidence of all.
Well, what was it?
Let's see. I think it had something to do with the murder weapon. Ah, I forgot. Look, it's all written here somewhere, okay? His powers of recollection never failed to impress. Let me take a look at that. Though. No, not that. Here. Sentence death. Victims: Edward Jones, Edith Kirby, Jeb Bates, Jason Knight, Rachel Moss, Neil Marshall. Miles Edgeworth, Lana Skye, Again, head investigators. It's not in there. Although I did notice something just now. There was a sword. Huh. I wonder. Okay, hold on. I may have just figured it out.
Maybe we should show him the murder weapon. It might jog his memory.
Yeah, let's do that actually. Hey, that's the king, that award. Not what I meant to click, but I think I just put 2 and 2 together on something. The murder weapon had a broken hilt, but it didn't match any wounds. What about this? Hey, is that? There's a tag attached to it. The label says SL9 incident. I believe this would be the broken murder weapon you were speaking of. What are you doing with that? Ever since that case was closed, that knife's been locked away in a locker.
On the day Detective Goodman was murdered, this suddenly appeared from the locker. We found it in Mr. Edgeworth's car muffler.
That's it! Now I remember what that incriminating piece of evidence was. When you showed me the knife, it all came back to me.
What is it, Detective? Quick, before you forget again!
Speak up, man! This knife, it was Joe Dark's, wasn't it? That's right. We traced it back to the store he bought it at. Plus it had his fingerprints on it, too.
But no one actually witnessed him using it to murder anyone, right?
That's where his luck ran out. When you take a good look at the knife,
You'll see it's broken.
You have to take a good look to notice that.
Yeah, well anyway. Take a guess where the broken off tip of the knife was found. That's what did him in.
Where was it?
The victim, Neil Marshall, was carrying it inside his own body. Huh? It was found deep inside the stab wound.
Did it match Dark's knife?
You bet, down to the last fiber.
That doesn't make sense, though.
That's pretty conclusive.
Stabbed in the dark, died from punctured heart and lung. A knife tip was in the wound. Switchblade knife updated in the court record.
Joe Dark was 42 at the time of the crime. He was just your run-of-the-mill businessman.
I forgot again.
Businessman? What made him take to serial killing? One day on his way home from work, he hit someone with his car.
His car? So it was an accident.
An accident, yes, but it transformed him into an animal.
An animal?
He killed a man that witnessed the accident. Then he killed a lady who saw the second crime. A kid walked by just then. He killed him too. Then he was burying the bodies. Joker came upon the scene and he was killed as well. Finally, he turned himself in.
Seems he was a pretty careless animal.
Of course, this is all conjecture. There wasn't a single shred of evidence. So he turned himself in. Yes, but in the middle of his questioning, he fled and murdered his final victim. Prosecutor Marshall. That crime was witnessed by someone too. Luckily, Dark was arrested on the spot.
But you can't see his face from that angle.
It's a good thing that last witness wasn't killed.
That last witness, aka Emma.
Well, there you have it in a nutshell. That's all I know.
Can I ask you one more thing?
What is it? If it's money you need, you should ask Chief Gant.
It's not money, but it does concern the chief. His office is a crime scene, right? Sounds like people who play SIR matches. It's where Prosecutor Neil Marshall was murdered.
The chief's out now and his office is locked. But we'd like to have a look around if that's okay.
Well, any detective's ID card can unlock the door.
What? Really?
But if I let a civilian in there, I'd be charged with breach of trust.
Breach of trust?
Simply put, I'd be canned.
Oh.
Sorry, pal. I don't plan on getting fired because of you.
About this ID card, it's Detective Goodwin's.
That won't work either. It was deleted the day he died. That's pretty quick.
So in other words, Gumshoe is our only chance of getting into that office.
What if there's something we could still show him that would make him change his mind?
Actually, there just might be. Here. Okay, not that one. Here, I said that so confidently.
Stab of death caused by a single stab wound piercing the heart and lung. The suspect died from blood loss in under 10 minutes. We're just missing a tip.
About that jar, I think I've seen it before somewhere.
Somewhere?
Or maybe it's one of those memories people have from previous lives.
This must be the most uninformative detective I've ever met.
Something about it makes me feel uneasy.
It's like I'm in the chief's office and he's yelling at me. Chief Gant?
Where could I have seen that before?
Probably in his office. The last fragment of it! If he has it there, then that connects him to the crime. Yeah, you wouldn't know anything about that screwdriver. But... about this...
Hey, is that...
Yeah.
And then we got that out of him. Why is she hiring the coat that was bloody, though? This guy almost made us lose the case today.
What are you talking about? He was guarding the blood stain on the evidence locker with his life. That's more than you can say about most officers nowadays.
Better saved lots of trouble if he hadn't guarded it so well. I have to admit, he's right, though. Thanks to the Blue Badger, we're able to prove another possibility today. The possibility that another murder took place prior to 5:15 p.m. And Mr. Edwards' car. You already know about all that. But I'm me, after all. I think I'll stay out of this conversation. I already saw that one. What evidence would make him talk? Share a little advice now.
Hey, I just bought some of that stuff. Now I can go around detecting blood traces too. Wow, is that a new type? I've never seen that bottle before.
Add 3 inches to your... Hey, let me see that. Looming tall, new and improved growth.
He was meaning to get luminol. And instead, he got a growth helper.
You mean this can't detect any blood traces?
Well, it's not quite the same thing as luminol.
So that's why the lady at the counter had that smirk on her face.
Oh my god, the poor detective.
Oh my god. Oh, that's good. Oh, that's so good. Oh, that's so funny. You think gumshoe? Ooh. Oh, that's an adult joke if I ever heard one in a game like this. No, I didn't want to look at it. I wanted to share it.
Hey, that powder's used for detecting fingerprints. Yeah, Mr. Edgeworth gave it to us. He did what? All I have is some flour.
Are you okay, detective?
Quick, run! Achoo!
If it's any help, one time I took a nap on a bench with wet paint. Why am I not comforted? Oh, he's allergic to it. That's why he can't use it. That's the ID card record, isn't it? Oh! Yes, there's only one number left to investigate. At 4:20 p.m., the victim, Detective Goodman, must have entered the evidence room along with someone else. Someone with an executive officer number. 777777777. That's 17 too many, detective. An executive officer? I just might have a hunch. That's why we need to get in there. Share a little advice. No, no. Why do you want to hide that screwdriver anywhere? There's gotta be something more to this. So here's my attorney's badge. The SL-29 case. Crap. Boss, there's nothing wrong with Mr. Edgeworth's presentation. People are accusing him of injustice.
I, for one, ain't buying it, pal. You're helping look into the case for Mr. Edgeworth?
Yeah, it was a pretty big deal while it was going on, you know. After all, a serial killer was on the loose. Alana was pretty clear in her confession. She forged evidence in order to prove Joe Dark guilty. Something doesn't add up. Yeah, the King of Prosecutors. Congratulations. Why is it broken? There's a reason. I'll tell you what it is later. Apparently it's forgotten. Alright, this doesn't help me at all. Doggone it. I need to get him convinced to let me up there. Maybe Edgeworth is back? Hey! Edgeworth is back yet.
There he is! Looks like he's writing something.
What are you doing here? He sure was quick to throw the paper on the floor. Tough day in court, huh? I've had to live the past 2 years with rumors flying around. What's another allegation to me?
Cheer up, Mr. Edgeworth. I'm rooting for you.
That's Edgeworth for you. Always trying to hide his real feelings. So, what do you want? Unlike some people, I don't have all day. Actually, can I see what you just threw out down there? I wonder what he was writing for.
Come on, Mr. Wright. Let's take a look.
Are you crazy?
Edgeworth is sitting right there. Just distract him. I'll check it out.
Hey, Edgeworth. Is that Detective Gumshoe at the window out there? Oh no, he's falling to the ground. Hold on, first let me see what the girl's doing crawling around my feet. Didn't even look.
What? Letter of...
If you're having trouble reading, I'll read it for you. It says Letter of Resignation. What?
Resignation? Edgeworth, you don't mean...
I'm tired, Wright. I feel as if something inside me has just died.
Mr. Edgeworth, none of it is your fault.
I know the path I've walked. You don't need to tell me. And the path I've walked hasn't been a just one. I can't forgive myself for what I've done. And no one else should forgive me either. Uh-oh. I think he's serious.
Mr. Wright! Please, you have to do something.
His letter of resignation. I wonder if I can use it for anything. Well, hey, let's talk, buddy. There's no excuse for what I've done. 2 years ago, I used false evidence to obtain a guilty verdict. That's what it all breaks down to. Nothing I do can erase that fact. But you didn't know, did you? I mean, that the evidence was falsified. The police department and the prosecutor's office share a bond of trust. If that bond is broken, we stand to lose everything. The police department's error is my error. My responsibility as the prosecutor in charge. Excuse me while I drink some more coffee. It's almost like our characters aren't allowed to sleep or something. That fact remains the same, no matter what excuse I might have.
Mr. Edgeworth?
I take pride in my work. So tell me why. Why has it all come to this? Even Edgeworth can't keep this kind of emotion bottled up. Are you up for the trial tomorrow? First last year's trial and now this one? Seems all you do is worry about me. To be honest, you're getting on my nerves. I mean, it's not like I'm gay for you or anything. I mean, that spiky hair. Never mind.
Mr. Edgeworth, you can't just walk out of the trial. Wait, what were you saying?
Tomorrow's is the last day. It's too late to change prosecutors. I'll bet that's what my superiors are banking on. I never thought that case would come back to haunt me like this. What do you mean? This list of evidence, it seems too short. There's some perfect time for us. On redeem. Sorry. Also, hey, I hope you're doing alright, Final. I decided to stick it out because this is the third day of the last case. The evidence seems too short. Most lists run twice as long. It's only half as long as most lists? That's odd. After Neil Marshall was murdered, I became prosecutor for that case. I may not have been part of the investigation, but I knew what I had to do. Use the evidence I was given to prove the suspect guilty. That was really the only thing on my mind at the time.
Say, we just saw a picture taken around that time.
That picture, something seemed strange about it.
Could you tell us again about what happened that day?
The day that Detective Goodman was murdered.
You were participating in a ceremony over at the station, right?
I never cared for ceremonies, but I had to attend that one.
Because you were awarded this?
Those receiving awards can't exactly skip out on the ceremony. I finished up at the office that morning, then drove over to the police department.
You finished up at the office?
Yes, just odds and ends, clerical stuff. Totally not thinking about some spiky-haired guy with, Anyway, I didn't plan on returning to the office that day. That is, until I was asked to take something back.
Take something back?
This.
Oh yeah! Chief Gant asked you to hold on to that, didn't he?
Yes, it was a piece of evidence in a case that was closed half a year ago. He asked me to bring it back to the prosecutor's office. That's the story we heard yesterday. So you came back here to the prosecutor's office because the chief asked you to? That's right.
Doesn't that strike you as odd?
Also, what do you think of this? This picture was hanging on the wall in Chief Gant's office. Prosecutor Neil Marshall. He had just started making a name for himself. It looks like this was taken when he received the King of Prosecutors trophy.
Speaking of that, there's something that bothers me.
Yes?
The trophy Mr. Marshall's holding? It's a little different than yours.
Yes, you're right. Ah, I remember now.
Remember what?
That was what the official prosecutor's trophy looked like until 2 years ago. There's a story behind its design.
Story?
Sounds interesting. Would you mind telling it to us? It's simple, really. Contradiction. That's what the award's based on. Contradiction? Prosecutor's trophy. This award originates from an ancient Chinese tale. In Chinese, the word contradiction is written with 2 characters. First meaning halberd, the second meaning shield. Have you heard of this story?
Me? Oh, sure, everyone knows that. Why don't you tell it, though, for Emma's sake?
Very well. Long ago in the kingdom of Chu, there was an arms merchant. One day, he presented the king with 2 items. The first was a halberd, which he claimed could slice through any shield or armor. The second was a shield he claimed could withstand any weapon.
Wait a minute. Those claims contradict each other.
Very perceptive. But then again, you've heard the story before, right? Anyway, as you mentioned, the very description of these items discredit them both. When the king pointed this out, the merchant was left speechless. And thus the Chinese word for contradiction was born.
Oh, I see. So the clipped shield and the broken knife symbolize...
Precisely so. They symbolize the merchant's items. The ancient tale ends with the merchant at a loss for words. But it's in our nature to pursue matters to their conclusion, even if the result is something as ugly as this.
Wow! Thanks, Mr. Edgeworth. I learned something new today.
That's funny. If that's so, then why were you only given a shield? You'll have to ask Chief Gant. 2 years ago, he had the halberd part of the ward abolished. Chief Gant? Being a prosecutor's true. Huh. Hold on. Something doesn't add up. It wouldn't hurt to put this up somewhere, like on a shelf. That has no meaning for me anymore. What do you mean anymore? That's who I was last year. What good is it to dwell on the past? He's asking me?
Why can't you just accept it gracefully? Actually, something's been troubling me about this shield.
What? Yeah, we already got to that. So it's better... I better present this other shield. The other shield. Yeah, except we just did that. But here's what bothers me. Mr. Wright, please. I'm the prosecutor on this case. You don't expect me to sit here and discuss the case with you over a cup of tea. I'll pass on the tea, just tell me about the case.
Mr. Wright! Mr. Edwards just told you no in a very stylish manner!
Whose side are you on, anyway? Maybe if I just show him my best evidence, I can get some reaction out of him. But... Huh... What about this? See, what bothers me here is that I had that changed. Okay, so hear me out. I think he may have just straight up used that sword as part of the weapon. And that's why the switchblade has that broken edge. I mean, it would make sense for it to be a switchblade knife in the award, because then you could be able to slide it out easily. In order to keep the trophy clean. Or something. Fine. I think I've just about had it here. What I need is a way to back up into the chief's office. Excuse me. Oh! Boobs! I mean, Angel. Would either of you care for a quarter pound of roast beef? Miss Star! I guess she's out of lunches. You certainly are the curious sort, aren't you? Kind of like the first person who sucked a cow's nipple and discovered milk. It's about occasionally one of the buildings has a signal jammer. Ah. Still, I never thought you'd go digging up that case from 2 years ago. Everyone in this trial was involved in this SL9 incident. Not only that, but the murder occurred on the very day that the evidence for the case was due for transferal. This can't be all attributed to mere coincidence. Aren't you forgetting something? You know that little scene I happened to witness? The instant Lana stabbed Detective Goodman with a knife. No matter how much of the past you dig up, it won't change what I saw. Roast beef is meant to be savored when eaten. It starts hatred towards Lana. It all dates back to 2 years ago. Actually, Joe Duck, that's a name I'll not soon forget. We trailed him for half a year. Oh, the pressure. Still, I don't think I was even more alive than I was then. Those days were steamier than a bowl of hot gravy. Poor old Jake Marshall, though. He's been going through hell. You mean because of his brother's death? They were close, those two. After Neil died, something took over Jake. He became obsessed. Seeing Jake like that made her all the more desperate. Her? Lana Skye. My sister? It's the best we were put on the SL9 case. That's what she's talking about. Of course, they were led by that legendary duo. Lana and Chief Gant. Case closed. The legendary pair was the reason we were able to keep up our investigation. That's why we were so shocked when it turned out. What the oof? What the oof do? You mean with forging of evidence? Don't get me wrong, Joe Dark got what he deserved.
Head pat the cat!
Alright, you get your head pats. Oh, thank you.
Why more oof? I'm reading!
But you may give me head pats. I approve. There we go. Yes. Don't get me wrong, Joe Dark got what he deserved. Still, it was obvious the evidence produced by the court was being manipulated. Items our team never found would suddenly appear, while other items were kept secret. You don't have proof anything illegal was done. I'm proof enough of what happened. After that case, all of us save Goodman were relieved of our duties. Most without even so much as an explanation. Then Lana Skye transferred to the prosecutor's office and became chief prosecutor?
Lana always wanted to be a prosecutor.
Nothing's quite as simple as it appears.
Huh?
Lana Skye was merely being used as a pawn. That's my take on the matter. Just being used?
You know, it's kind of hard to take the situation seriously when my head's getting rubbed like this. Screw it. Tell me about the legendary duo.
Damon Gant and Lana Skye. Gant led the investigation, with Lana second in command. They were
You know, the occasional oof doesn't help. But is appreciated. Thank you for the point flex there, Zoomer.
They solved all kinds of cases together, didn't they?
Damon Gant's magnetism, in particular, was almost unreal. His magnetism? By that I mean his ability to attract evidence. He produced the most incredible evidence in cases he handled. Incredible evidence? You mean... Oh yes, there were rumors about him even back then. No one dared confront him, though.
So he was the one forging evidence.
I take it she's talking about forged evidence. Heck then, everyone looked up to Lana. All the detectives wanted to be like her.
Really?
Oh yes. Myself included. I was a fool, really. She hated anything crooked, and always watched out for other detectives. That's why she was so concerned for Jake.
Mr. Marshall.
But once safe for Bean. When Jake's brother was murdered, she felt as if she had lost her own brother. If it wasn't for her, I don't think Jake would have ever recovered from his shock. That's what makes it all the more infuriating.
Star.
That's why I'll never be able to forgive her. And I think I'll pause the headpats. Time to take this seriously. Get serious. Why did she have to turn so cold after that? Lana transferred to the prosecutor's office 2 years ago, didn't she? Yes, thanks to Chief Grant's...
Why do I keep wanting to call him Grant?
Chief Gant's powerful influence. Chief... That's right. Having solved the SL9 case, his position as chief was secured. There was only one thing left for him to control, and then no one could stand in his way. The prosecutor's office. What? You mean that's why Lana was transferred? If he could control the chief prosecutor, he could control the prosecutor's office. I forgot how long this case is. This one case has taken the entire stream and more. That must have been his goal all along. But how could he control Lana? I don't know, but one thing's for sure. Ever since that case ended, she's never been the same. It's only logical to conclude there must have been a reason for her change. At last, I'm finally getting close to the bottom of this ugly mess. The trial is... Thank you, Star. You listen to me, rookie. Super long. Oh, boy. It takes more than just ingredients to create fine cuisine. I hope you turn out to be a better chef than I've been. We need to get into that office. Alright, Gumshoe. I'm gonna need your help. Oh, you're back. You're still here? I gotta make 150 copies of these files. That's just out automatically. Oof. Brewing coffee, copying files. I'm turning into a regular DJ. You're DJ as well? If I'm not mistaken, I think he means desk jockey.
Oh, that DJ!
I gotta admire your persistency, but my answer's still no. I'm not letting you into the chief's office, period. It'd be my neck on the line. That office is the last crime scene of the SL9 incident. I have to take a look in there.
It's gotta be something we can do to make the detective change his mind.
Well, if you want... Where is it? Where do I see it? This.
What's this crumpled up piece of paper?
No way! Mr. Edgeworth can't be serious! Is he ever not serious?
I can't believe they pushed him this far!
Mr. Edgeworth really feels responsible. Gumshoe. Become the new Gumshoe. When I first met him, I thought he was as cold as ice, too. But I know different now. He trusted us detectives to provide him with sound evidence. But we betrayed him.
Detective?
That's it. I've made up my mind.
But...
Here. Take my ID card.
You can't do that. If someone found out, they'd let you off the hook with another lost item report.
Look at me. It's no secret I'm already out of the loop. After all, I'm friends with Mr. Edgeworth. Depending on how this case turns out, I may already be as good as terminated.
What?
So at least let me do this, for Mr. Edgeworth's sake! Alright, Detective. Thank you. Gumshoe's ID tucked swiftly into my pocket. Thank you. Here goes,
Mr. Wright. We're in! If anyone finds us now...
Detective Gumshoe's a goner. If that happens, I'm counting on you to bail me out. Ah!
Sorry, I thought you were a ghost.
I didn't even know you could slap a ghost. Ah! Detective Gumshoe! What are you doing sneaking up on us like that? I wasn't sneaking. I was just worried something might go wrong. So I came too. If you're here, then what was the point in giving us your ID card? His ID crushed, rendered unusable in the pocket. Hey, don't do that to my card!
hardly ever get a chance to come in here. So I figured I'd have a look around myself. Besides, we're all in this together now.
You really do want to get fired, don't you?
Not if we're lucky. Now come on, let's see what we can find out. I've got a bad feeling about this. Let's examine first. This is a safe, isn't it? Safe? That's a word. That word is ripe with intrigue. Okay, if you say so.
It looks like the code needs to be entered in this panel to open it.
A 7-digit number. I think I might know what it is. Input the number. Do you know what it is? I have a hunch. Oh, I know! I want to try my birth date. It's... No. I have a better idea. Here goes nothing. All 7s. Ah! Who's a smarty pants? Bingo.
What number did you enter?
Whose birthday was that, pal? 77777. Or sorry, 7777777. The final ID card on the number record.
What?
The number of the mysterious executive officer who entered the room that day.
You mean 7777777? That ID number?
I think you're 1 7 shy this time.
It can only mean one thing. Chief Gant's ID number. Say, no one care to look inside?
Is there any money in there? How much does he have stashed away?
Look, it's a shard from a broken cup.
The missing part of the broken vase!
It somehow looks familiar. Have we seen this before? There's something else in here too.
What's this? It looks like a piece of leather cloth. Is a bean. No. It's a handprint, isn't it?
Hey, I saw someone wearing a shirt like that once. You think the Chiefs made up the design?
I don't think so.
Oh.
Well, it was just a thought.
Is that it? Is that all there was in the safe?
Apparently so. It's empty now. A piece of cloth with a handprint on it. And a broken shard from a cup. They look like pieces of evidence. Yeah, but unless you can prove something to do with the case, I'm afraid I can't just let you take them. After all, it's my neck on the line here. Great. Now I have to prove the relevancy to them. Are these 2 items relevant to the SL9 incident?
There's gotta be something we can do.
He's obviously submissive and Chief Johnny confirmed to have something. Detective Dick Gumshoe is a bottom. Alright. Okay, hold on. Let's look around some more. This is the real deal, isn't it? This armor and these weapons? Sure is, pal. The Chief doesn't care for imitations. Where's the pipe organ and now this armor? You know how many taxpayer dollars must have gone into this room?
What? You mean we're paying for this? That's it. I'm not paying 1 cent of my taxes.
You don't have any taxes to pay.
Just be careful what you say.
Who knows? The Chief may be hiding in this armor as we speak. I don't think he'd fit in there. Even if he did, he'd never be able to get back out. Get it out. You guys know how scary that guy can be. I actually have some idea.
Wow, look at the size of Chief Gant's desk.
Speaking of that, when we were here earlier... Oh, it's you two. Chief Gant. He put the paper he was reading in his desk. I wonder what he was reading. This looks like a list of evidence. A list of evidence? In most cases, the list runs twice as long as this, though.
Hey, look at the case name.
Huh? SL9 incident! I wonder what this is doing here. Drink solid ice cubes. Oh, boy. Hold on, detective. What did you just say? I said, I wonder what... No, about the evidence lists. Normally they're twice as long? That's right. I guess there wasn't a lot of evidence. Half-size list of evidence. Where most lists run twice as long. What would the other half of the list be doing here?
I knew it! The Chief must be hiding something about that case!
It would appear so. Let's see, there's a lot more here.
Wow.
Now what's inside the door? Alright, anything else? The freaking organ, though! His organ sure is a sight to behold. Occasionally, we hear him playing it from the Criminal Affairs Department. That's on the 2nd floor, and this is the 15th floor of an entirely different building. Special Chief Gant. I think he has something to do with this. But, while I think Joe Dark was the killer, I think he killed Marshall. But why? Or anything these days except for the ringing in their ears. So it's an instrument of punishment, literally. Are the Chief's ears affected? He never listens to anyone anyway. That's besides the point. It's a dirty pee-pee grab here. Okay, now turning down. Actually, that would explain why he takes so long to respond. He can't hear what the people are saying. This was Lana's desk. It sure is tidy. Lana's always been a meticulous cleaner. There's not even any dust on it. Looks like someone's still keeping it clean. Has Lana ever come back here? No. Chief Gant must still be keeping it clean in memory of her partnership. Hey, where stuff legends are made of. Does he keep it in memory of her or in memory of the crime? Wait, what? He's distracted by grabbing his own. My God! These shelves are mostly empty. Lana must have cleaned them out when she transferred to the prosecutor's office. There's a small picture frame left on the shelf.
Hey! So when Lana and I went to that theme park.
Honey. Anything else at all? Yeah. This was taken on the day 2 years ago. The day Joe Dark ran out of questioning room and tried to kill Emma. After receiving his award trophy, Mr. Marshall took a picture here. Then went along to Chief Gant questioning Dark. I bet he never knew he'd be dead just a few hours later. Gee, you think? Look at that giant window. Makes you want to crash through it and jump outside. This is the 15th floor. I know, I was just saying. Saying what? Ever since making Detective, I've always dreamed about doing something like that.
Note to self, Detective Gumshoe has a lot of dreams.
As long as he doesn't go crashing through that window when he gets fired.
Don't say that!
Ooh, 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 oh, that's an oof. That one actually is an oof. Yow.
You can see pretty far from 15 stories up.
If we were to drop that suit of armor from here, at first the chief wanted to use stained glass for his window. Really? Why didn't he? They say he changed his mind because he wouldn't be able to see the view.
Oh.
Stained glass or not, it's a huge window. Well, we've investigated the whole thing. The desk on the other side of this room, was that your sister's?
Yes, it's where I was waiting for Lana. On that day 2 years ago.
Is anyone using it now? No, sir. This is entirely Chief Gant's office now. He practices a strict policy of preserving the crime scene. That's a strange reason to leave it there. He leaves it as a warning to everyone else. He wants us to always be alert. He told us so himself at our New Year's party. Uh-oh, it's 69K, holy crap. Of course, he was pretty intoxicated at the time. I see. So ever since Lana left, no one ever touches that desk? No one except Chief Gant and the cleaning lady who was in here each morning. Still, 2 years have passed since that incident. There can't possibly be any clues remaining. Can I ask you something? Sure. You only came here to look around, right? Because it's one of those SL9 crime scenes. I mean, your only reason for coming here, isn't it? Why do you ask? You don't think... Nah, you wouldn't be. No. No, there's no way. Never Never mind. Don't worry about it. Okay. Now then, let's look around a bit more. Hey, hold on! Not so fast, buddy! Huh? What is it? When someone tells you don't worry about it, you're supposed to start bothering you, pal. You don't just let it go at that. Sorry. This guy's starting to get on my nerves. Okay, so what's bothering you? You two don't think Chief Gant might be a suspect, do you?
What? He's right, Mr. Wright. What do we think of him?
Chief Gant. So it's finally come to this. What do I think of him? Perhaps it's best I don't divulge my feelings yet. There you go, ignoring me again. No, he's getting more suspicious by the minute. Come to think of it, can we talk about this for a second? If I'm fired, I won't be able to give you any information. So that's why I have to get it all out of my system now. You understand, don't you?
Don't be so negative, Detective. When do you want to share information, though?
How am I fooling? I've never had anything useful to begin with. Got to stay positive. Don't have anything more to talk about, though. Alright, well, first things first, I gotta figure out how to prove this. Gumshoe, could you have another look at this jar? I remember when the three of us put it back together. Okay. Chesty, I can't stay long. Gotta go to school because my PC was on Twitch, so you scared me. I could hear you through my headphones. Okay, bye-bye. Hope you have a nice rest of your stream. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. I remember when the three of us put it back together. Those were the days. It's kind of early to be nostalgic. Wasn't this jar a piece of evidence from that case? That's right. One of the shards had SL9 incident sticker on it. Doesn't this ring any bells? You know, that fragment we just found? Oh, you mean this one that was in the safe?
Yeah, that's one. That was in the safe.
Now that you mention it, it rings a lot of bells. Let's see if it fits. Yeah, let me see that shard. Let me take a crack at this. Go ahead, pal. Show us what a rookie can do.
It's right. Here's some glue.
If I can piece this together again, it'll prove Chief Gant was knowingly hiding evidence. Here goes. Huh. There! It fits like a charm. That, of course, means Chief Gant willingly and knowingly hid a piece of this jar in the safe. In other words, he concealed a piece of evidence from the SL9 incident. But, hey guys, get a load of this! What is it? That piece you just attached? It's different from the others. There's a reddish line on it. Reddish line? That's blood! I don't get it! Why would Chief Gant hide this in the safe? Something bled on there. What? Even more importantly, he's hiding evidence. Now the handprint. This is a safe, isn't it? Safe. Right. So how can I prove... Oh! The fingerprints! Gumshoe, I'd like you to have a look at this. I know what that is, so you want to take some fingerprints. It's a great idea, Detective. Alright, go to town, sheesh. What are you doing? Why are you sticking out your hand like that? Go ahead, take my fingerprints. It's not your fingerprints we want to take. Huh? Come on, this isn't the time for jokes. We're talking about that cloth we found in the safe. Oh, I knew that. The only one with the handprint on it, right? Sheesh, where's your sense of humor? Moment of truth. powder on the cloth. Absorb it in the prints, blow the rest away. What are you, my mom? I don't have to be told a million times. Let's get this over with. And... I gave it my best shot. The result won't be any good for matching prints. But it doesn't look like we'll get a clearer result from this print. Let's try a different finger then. Oh boy, I gotta really play with the digits on this one. Play with the digits. I made a funny. Alright. Give it my best shot. Let's try a different one. And... bingo! We have a hit. Just dust around it until it's nice and encapsulated. And blow it all away. Bingo. No, not Gant. No. No. Definitely not. Not quite. No. No way. Okay. Oh man, that actually scared me. No, it doesn't match. It's the same, yeah, but inside the chief's safe. Right, along with that shards, that means it's gotta have something to do with that incident. The one that happened right here in the room, she's right. Just check the fingerprints of everyone who was in there that day. The way I see it, there's a higher power at work here. You just gotta have faith. Emma? Why are your fingerprints here? How can this be? What are Emma's fingerprints doing here? Hey, you found a match? Whose fingerprints are they? Oh, seems the prints are too old. They aren't clear enough to get a match. Oh, that's too bad. I thought they'd be Dark's prints. Psst. Hey, you, over here. What's going on here? What are the kids' prints doing inside the chief's safe? Don't ask me. Just keep this information from Emma for now. Here. Maybe you should hold on to this. Well, was I any help? Of course. Thanks to your ID card, you're able to get some hard evidence. Now that's not very kind, is it? In other words, if it wasn't for his ID card, he would have been useless. Isn't that right, you in the coat? Chief Gant! We didn't think you'd be back so soon. Fortunately, I'm a man who believes in signs. As I was walking to my meeting, I happened to look out a window and see a stray dog run right into a pole. Just then, I thought of a certain detective. Do you mean me, sir? Now then, I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you all to leave.
Yes, sir! Sorry.
Oh, you in the coat?
Me, sir?
Drop off your ID on the way out. You won't be needing it anymore.
Sir?
Now get out.
Yes, sir.
We'll be on our way too, then. Wait. You, the one with the spiky hair. Don't go yet.
But me, sir?
I'd like a word with you.
But, sir, I'm not a licensed scientific investigator yet.
You with the spiky hair, you're free to go.
But, Mr. Wright!
Look, pal, I've told you once, I've told you 1,000 times. The chief's office is off limits. But no, you just had to go sneaking in there like that, didn't you? I thought you said you didn't care anymore if you were fired.
Yeah, but if I knew it would be like this, I never would have said it.
Now that I've seen the evidence Chief Gant was hiding in his office, I think I'm finally starting to get the picture. But why was she kept eerily silent about it all this time?
Anyway, you listening to me? I'm gonna try to smooth things over with the chief again. Later, pal.
After that, I heard from Emma. She said the police wanted to ask her some questions, so she'll be busy for the rest of the day. I see. So the chief asked Emma to come in for questioning. It's no use thinking about it. Tomorrow's the final day in court. I'm committed to doing everything I can to defend you, which is why I'm here. But I've already told you all I can. What you've told me over these past couple of days is absolutely nothing. Not a single useful thing. Really? I believe I did mention something quite important. Something I told you right at the beginning. I said that I was the one who stabbed Detective Goodman. You know, I think I finally figured it out. I know who it is that's lurking behind your words. Mia did a good job mentoring you. I'm rather jealous. It seems Edgeworth was right. Edgeworth? Once you're convinced you know something, no one can persuade you otherwise. Thick-headed is the term he used, I believe. Now's my chance to get her to tell me the rest of the story. I have to admit, I was more than a little perplexed at first. You insisted you did it, yet there was no incriminating evidence. That's when it hit me. It's not that you're unwilling to tell the truth. It's that you're incapable of doing so because of a certain individual. But an intriguing notion. A certain individual, you say. So you think I'm protecting this person? Protecting? No. I think you're afraid of is more like it. If I'm not mistaken, the person in question may have persuaded you to silence. For argument's sake, Mr. Wright, whom may I ask this person is you're speaking of? The one I'm supposedly so frightened of. What's this person's name? Well, Miss Skye? Mr. Wright, you are addressing the Chief Prosecutor. Do not forget your place. I take it she's still not ready to spill the beans. My apologies. Could you please tell me a little bit more about what you think you know? About Damon Gant. We were partners until 2 years ago. I respected him as a detective. Assuming he is respectable, then tell me something. Why would he try to hide his crimes? His crimes? Both you and Edgeworth will be brought before a board of inquiry for what you did. Specifically hiding and forging evidence. Of course, these are serious offenses. Why is it, though, that the Chief Gant's name was never mentioned? Chief Gant? Edgeworth didn't know the truth behind the forgery. The only party who could have possibly tampered with the evidence was me. I had access because I was second in command of that investigation. Yes, you, but also one other, Damon Gant. If you intend to accuse Chief Gant, you'll need more than just words. Show me proof that Chief Gant falsified evidence in that case. Right here. I just found this in the safe of the Chief's office. This jar piece and this piece of cloth. Do you know what these are? They're pieces of evidence from the SL9 incident. The person concealing evidence was none other than Chief Gant himself. Now tell me, why are you taking all the blame for him? Touché, Mr. Wright. It's as you surmised. I cannot disobey the Chief's orders. Even if it means being found guilty for murder. Why not? Come now, Mr. Wright. You can't possibly expect me to be able to tell you that. 3 days ago, I had no choice but to cooperate. In the murder of Detective Goodman. Or perhaps I should say, follow orders. Yes, that's more accurate than cooperate. Although I can't tell you the details, I can say that I was given an order that day. I need you to dispose of Bruce Goodman's body. You'll find it inside the trunk of Miles Edgeworth's car.
Just as I suspected. Despite what everyone believes, you were not the one who murdered Detective Goodman. Correct. I was trying to take the body out of Edgeworth's car. The trunk's lock was broken, and I discovered that the murder weapon while inspecting the body. The murder weapon? You mean Edgeworth's knife? No. When I found the body, this was the knife stuck in it. The knife from the SL9 murder. Serial killer Joe Dark's knife. I couldn't just leave that knife in him. So I took it out and stabbed him with another knife. And that would be Edgeworth's knife. That's right. Even though he was already dead, my hands were shaking at the thought of stabbing him. That's why I ended up cutting my hand. And that is the reason for the bandage on your right hand. Yes, it seems I got blood on the victim's shoes as well. And then she saw me just as I plunged the knife in. Miss Starr, huh? It was a setup. Why did you need to hide Dark's knife so badly? It took a lot of work to finally close the Dark case 2 years ago. It was over with. I didn't ever want it to be opened again. My intent was to prevent that, by whatever means possible. So you hid Dark's knife? The weapon used to stab the detective was evidence in the Joe Dark case. If word got out, which it would, the reporters would have a field day with that. So you wrapped the knife in your scarf and hid it in Edgeworth's exhaust pipe. Right, then I called my sister to tell her what happened and ask her to hide the knife that was inside my muffler. You asked Emma? I didn't want anyone on the force to know about this. That would explain why Emma is so confident about Lana's innocence. Speaking of phone calls, I had a bad feeling about one of them that day. A bad feeling? The truth is, after I received those orders from Chief Gant, the first thing I did was make a phone call. A phone call to Patrolman Jake Marshall. To Marshall? Why on earth would you call him? The lead investigator for the SL9 incident had been murdered. I wanted that fact to be kept hidden, and I needed help. He was the only other person I could trust. Or at least, I thought I could trust him at the time. However, it seems that after I spoke to him, he went off on an escapade on his own. Oh, you mean... Not wanting to let the case die, he decided to take things into his own hands. He disguised himself as Detective Goodman and tried to steal the evidence. He'd already stolen the ID card. Well, it seems he still hadn't made up his mind to break it in the evidence room. After my phone call, any remaining doubts he had must have disappeared. So your phone call caused the incident in the evidence room. I'm afraid that's all I can tell you. But Lana, you've earned my respect, Mr. Wright, both as a defense attorney and an investigator. Now please, don't pursue this any further in court tomorrow. Tomorrow's trial. There's only one way to drive off Lana's demons. I've got to get to the bottom of everything. Detective Goodman's real murderer. And what went down in the chief's office 2 years ago. To be continued. Oh boy. Save your progress up to this point? I think that would be a good idea. And for the folks on YouTube, I'll see you in court. For now, this is Xeshire the Cat, signing off into the final day of the trial. Take care, YouTube. See you next time.